I think where we'll start, Chewy, is actually looking at Friday's debate between Biden and Trump.
Oh.
Now, we don't need to go too deeply into this because it was kind of 3 or 4 or 5 days ago or a month ago, depends how you feel. But because we talk about this kind of thing, we do need to touch on it and have a look at it and just see, what actually happened there and what people are talking about. The good thing about doing it today is there's been a couple of other interesting reflections come out since that. Now, what I'll just do is CNN has put together a bit of a snapshot of what people were talking about. So we'll play this for you. And for those of you who are watching live, I apologize that I will read out the words, but the reason I'll read out the words for the text that are coming up is because we have people listening on the audio podcast. So I will read out the words as they come up, unless my dyslexia kicks in and it gets too fast for me, and then I'll run away. Run away, run away. All right, so let's have a look at this. This is a kind of a bit of a wrap of some of the things that were being said, and the piece off CNN is called "Biden Told to Withdraw After Debate as Panic Sets In for the Democrats." There are calls for Joe Biden to pull out of the presidential race after his performance in the first debate against Donald Trump.
My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic.
The pair are the oldest candidates for presidents in US history, with Biden 81 and Trump 78. Biden had a shaky beginning to the debate. The ha-ha's not there, by the way, podcast listeners. When the TV audience would have been at its highest.
Every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Yep.
This was Jon Stewart for those listening.
Need to call a real estate agent in New Zealand.
Hey. Despite improving as the debate continued, it may not be enough to quell concerns about his being Biden's sharpness.
I think there was a sense of shock, actually, how he came out at the beginning of this debate, how his voice sounded. He seemed a little disoriented. He did get stronger as the debate went on, but by that time, I think the panic had set in.
But there was at least one early indication that President Biden will remain on top of the Democratic Party ticket. I'm going to pause here. This footage here, they're not going to delve into it, but this footage was after the debate finished, and it appeared that Jill Biden was helping Joe Biden down off the stage. If that had been broadcast as well, that would have been even worse still. I don't know if they're going to show it all here, but yeah, there was some footage after it, making it look like he was struggling to get down the stairs.
Talking to sources close to President Biden, people have known him for a long time. There is zero chance, they tell me tonight, he steps away from running.
Now, Chewy, I don't know if you remember, but a person sitting in a set remarkably similar to this, looking remarkably similar than this, said 12 months ago, if Biden runs, Trump wins. Now, over the last few months, I've thought about me saying that, and I've kind of gone, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. But when you have, these are my thoughts, yeah? When you have, as the media is saying, the con man versus the old man debate, and the con man told so many lies, like I should have queued up his first question, because the first question he goes, the best ever economy there's ever been, and all this kind of stuff. And he made about 5 statements. And I was sitting in my chair watching it and I went, lie, 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 lie. Every single one of them was bullshit, right? And when you've got someone who lies as much as that, who won't answer questions, who makes more about his golf handicap than any policy, come out looking better than the incumbent president, you know you've got a problem. Chewy.
I have so many thoughts. Look, a lot of people in the chat dragged me into Discord live during that absolute abortion of a debate. The narrative post debate has been almost 100% about Biden's capabilities.
Yeah, of course.
About his cognitive decline, how old he seems or is, that sort of thing. And almost no one seems to be talking about every single thing that Trump spoke about was a lie.
Yeah.
Or
Or he
outright
didn't answer.
misinformation, half-truths, exaggeration. He never answered a question. He would go off on some fucking tangent about this mystery world that if he was still the president, the war in Ukraine wouldn't have happened. All of this nonsense. Like, at this stage, if I was an American and able to vote over there, I would vote for a literal bag of potting mix on the Democratic ticket. Like, and unfortunately, that's pretty close to what they've got. What they're voting for is not so much singular Biden. They are voting for his administration.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's so outpaced that this man-on-man debate is so focused on. Like, the way that they structured this debate, like, I can understand why they did it. They went into it saying, we are going to kill the other person's mic until it is your turn. The unintended consequence of that is it just let Trump gish gallop.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about gish galloping last week. Of just like, okay, cool, Mr. President Trump, here's a question. Mistruth, lie, unrelated anecdote. There was no pushback. There was no interruptions. There was no dragging him back to his point. There was no fact checking because you couldn't fact check that fire hose of bullshit that was every time he spoke.
Well, but also the moderator. That's not the moderator's job. In that setting, the moderator's job is not to critique, because what would have happened then, or to correct, and this may be a criticism of the format, is then they would have been continually correcting Trump, and the world would have seen it as Biden and CNN against Trump. So they were kind of stuck, and they sort of couldn't do that. The other thing that I'm just thinking of now that really harmed Biden with not having the interruptions was he was then left to fill the full 2 minutes. If Trump had been chipping at him and kind of butting in sort of thing, he probably would have looked more capable, because it would have been this guy interrupting him. But it was almost like he was put off his game as much by someone interrupting him when there was no one interrupting him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just find the narrative really interesting that the stories are all focused on Biden and
of course,
none on Trump, when it should be, holy shit, we have a country of 500 million people, and these are the two that we have picked.
Well, that is a little bit going around. All the polls still say both of them are too old to run, and
there is no one better.
Yeah.
At this point, they should just pick a random sporting event with a full stadium and fire T-shirts into the crowd, and one of the T-shirts says, "You are the president 2025." That is a better option than what is being presented to Americans at the moment.
What
just
they
randomly pick someone.
What they used to do in ancient Greece was it was like jury duty. 500 people a year would make up the government.
Fucking
and they
bring that
have
back.
to serve for a year. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Although looking at the partisan break in the countries at the moment, I don't know if it will work. The thing I came away thinking, and I still probably say this is right, I've had a bit of a reflection time over the weekend, is after that debate, Trump lost no voters, Biden lost plenty. That's what I was left with at the end of that debate. That debate would be leading. Nobody who was going to vote for Trump after that debate would now not be voting for Trump, but there'll be people who would have been voting for Biden that'll now not be voting for Biden.
We are looking at the final season of the United States of America.
Final chapter.
We are looking at the fucking fall of Rome in real time. Like, people that support Trump, I mean, He lied and cheated on his partners. He lied and he cheated on his business partners. He failed and lied and cheated on every one of his business ventures.
Yeah.
He lied and cheated when he was last in government. And people are still the Republicans are still rolling out the fucking welcome mat to him.
Let's check about a couple. There's a couple more things I want to show you as well. Now, remember when we said Chippy kind of left his run, even he says it, of being sort of more aggressive too late. This was Biden the next day.
And then he lied about how great he was for veterans. But then I told him how he had called a veteran who had given their lives in the country in World War I and refused to go to the grave.
Even his
site.
face, his eyes, he looks more with it.
He tried to deny it. But let me ask you, are you going to believe a 4-star Marine general, his own former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, who said he said that? Or the disgraced, defeated and lying Donald Trump?
Now, look, he's not perfect. In this speech himself, he says he's a bit slower and he had a bad thing himself. But this Joe Biden versus the one the night before, it's night and day.
The fact that 44.
So that was a mistake. He was about to say 44 of us. It's actually 40 out of 44. But luckily the crowd actually saved him. Like if you had been able to speak into the mic, that would have saved him.
That's okay. How about the fact that 40 out of his 44 top advisors, including the vice president, aren't supporting him this time around? The people know.
So the thing is, the day after, no one's saying that this is the same Joe Biden of 10, 15, 20 years ago, but this is night and day compared to the night before. So what the fuck happened? That's the next question. What actually happened? There are some people saying he was over-prepared and he had too much going on in his head. I mean, I don't think that's an excuse you can do to the president of the United States. And there's a lot of commentators saying that if Joe Biden stays, that Trump should do no more debates. That should be it. Because why would you give your opposition a chance to give a better performance when you could just leave the whole country with that? There's one other thing I want to get to as well. The Philadelphia Inquirer has written a really interesting editorial piece, which is titled, "To Serve His Country, Donald Trump Should Leave the Race." So I'm going to get to that. But is there anything else you want to jump on before we go there? Yeah. Anything else you want before that?
No, let's go for it.
So this article is long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's actually really good things that I'm not going to read out, or else we'd be here for 9 minutes reading an article. Let you read you some of the bits that I've highlighted. To serve his country, this has been written after the debate. To serve his country, Donald Trump should leave the race. Lost in the hand-wringing, this is the hand-wringing about Biden. Lost in the hand-wringing was Donald Trump's usually bombastic litany of lies, hyperbole, bigotry, ignorance, and fear-mongering. His performance demonstrated once again he is a danger to democracy and unfit for office. In fact, the debate is misplaced. The only person who should withdraw from the race is Trump. To build himself up, Trump constantly tears the country down. There is no shining city on a hill. It's just mourning in America, mourning for those who are listening, O-U-R, as in crying. Throughout the debate, Trump repeatedly said we are a failing country. He called the United States third world nation. He said we're living in hell and, quote, very close to World War III. People are dying all over the place, Trump said, later adding, we're literally an uncivilized country now. Later in the article says Trump told more than 30 lies. I reckon it's well more than that, but if you include all those exaggerations and mistruths, but maybe 30 blatant lies during the debate to go with more than 30,000 truths he told in his 4 years as president. He dodged the CNN moderator's questions, took no responsibility for his actions, and blamed others, mainly Biden, for everything that is wrong in the world. The debate served as a reminder of what another 4 years of Trump would look like. More lies, grievance, narcissism, and hate. Supporters say they like Trump because he says whatever he thinks, but he mainly spews raw sewage. Trump attacked the military. He denigrates the Justice Department and judges. He belittles the FBI and the CIA. He picks fights with allies and poses up to dictators. Trump is an unserious carnival barker running for the most serious job in the world. During his last term, Trump served himself and not the American people. Trump spent chunks of time watching TV, tweeting, and hanging out at his country clubs. Over his 4-year term, Trump played roughly 261 rounds of golf. That's nearly one a day if it was a year. Think about that. That's a quarter of his time. quarter of his time as president, he was on the golf course at least once a day. As president, Trump didn't read the daily intelligence briefs. He continued to use his personal cell phone, allowing Chinese spies to listen to his calls. During one Oval Office meeting, Trump shared highly classified intelligence with the Russian foreign minister and ambassador. A couple more for you. Obviously, for those listening, I'm not reading the whole thing, just snippets from it. Trump stacks the judiciary with extreme judges consisting mainly of white males, including a number who the American Bar Association rated as not qualified. A record number of cabinet officials were fired or left the office. The West Wing was in constant chaos and infighting. Many Trump appointees exited under a cloud of corruption, grifting, and ethical standards. Trump's children made millions off the White House. His dilettante son-in-law got $2 billion from the Saudi government for his fledgling investment firm, even though he never managed money before. Trump's mismanagement of the pandemic resulted in tens of thousands of needless deaths. He boasts about stacking the Supreme Court with extreme right-wingers who are stripping away individual rights and upending legal precedents and making the country less safe. If elected, Trump may add to the court's conservative majority. Of course, there were the unprecedented two impeachments. Now Trump is a convicted felon who was staring at three more criminal indictments. He is running for president to stay out of prison. And the last piece I'll read to you says this. Nope. Oh, this is the end of it. Yes, Biden had a horrible night. He's 81. He's not as sharp as he used to be. But Biden on his worst day remains light years better than Trump on his best. Biden must show up that he's up to the job. This is clear. He has a substantive record of real accomplishments, fighting the pandemic, combating climate change, investing in infrastructure, and supporting working families and the most vulnerable. And it goes on. If you want to check it out, it's a good article. Just Google to serve his country, Donald Trump should leave the race, and maybe Philadelphia Inquirer. So the opinion piece here has been laid out pretty strongly. And you know what, Chewy? None of that matters if all the people get to see is the debate on Friday.
Yeah. I'm just seeing a media machine that has not learned any lessons from the first time that Trump ran.
Yep.
And the vibe that I get talking to my friends in the States is, yeah, panic is a good word. Mourning. A couple of them are genuinely scared. One of them that I know worked in the US Capitol and hasn't been back since January 16th.
Wow.
January 6th, sorry. And she says, either way, if Biden wins, she would expect another January 6th. If Trump gets in, then it's just adding oxygen to those people that they were justified and they were right.
Yeah.
And either way, that's a very scary sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easy to get trapped into hyperbole here, as I did before. But yeah, I think when you look, God, someone was passing around the presidential debate between Obama and who was the other guy? Who was he running against?
McCain?
Romney. And it was like it was only 10 years ago. And the candidates were talking to each other respectfully. They disagreed. Like it was an actual proper debate in the classical political sense, instead of what we had this week, which was a sideshow. An absolute sideshow. And yes, people will vote based on A, what they saw in the debate, and B, what the media have spoken about the debate. And they won't look at what the Biden administration has actually accomplished for Americans, what they've actually done. And we can sit here in New Zealand and we can criticize US foreign policy all day long, and we will forever. But I think, the comments around how Biden has reacted to Israel, again, do you think Trump would be better or worse than Biden in that case?
Yeah.
Do you think Trump would be better or worse for Ukraine or for the entirety of Europe? And I think from a whole world perspective, Trump is very, very bad news.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. I think you were talking about it a second ago, and the thought is, and we all know this, so I'm preaching to the choir, is that, if Trump loses, it's rigged. If Trump wins, it was a fair election. So will you abide by a fair election? If it wins,
he
yes.
was outright asked that. Will you abide by the results of the election? And he couldn't say unqualified yes.
Well, no, what he says is a fair election, and what a fair election to him means is one he wins.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what he says.